On the other videos, you spoke about dipping in and dipping out of a scalding hot bath, and then you can say it's done. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that, of why you just dip in and dip out?
I don't like being exposed, as I use that word a lot, because that's the only way I know how to describe it. I don't like being uncovered, and unclothed.
Who's going to see you?
Nobody, but I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
I don't feel secure. It don't feel right. It feels very uncomfortable and something that I avoid at all costs.
Is there a sense of vulnerability in that?
I'm not sure what's behind it. There's a couple of things that I don't feel protected. I don't know, I just like to be secure and tight, so even if I'm wearing something baggy, I've got something tight on fitted underneath, so I can feel that I've got something next to my skin, and I'm like that in bed. I won't have like baggy, if I have baggy pyjamas on, I'll have like a vest top underneath it and that kind of thing. I like to feel secure and feel safe. Things like when I sleep, sometimes I need to sleep in a dressing gown as well, and that extra layer to fit, because I feel uncomfortable, and I like tie it really tight round my waist. I feel that I need to be secure. I don't like things baggy or unfitted, particularly around my lower back. I don't like my skin being exposed.
Is that how you described, when you were abused, and because you were exposed at the back?
I think that's definitely where that area of my back comes in, because I've had flashbacks to that area being exposed and that kind of thing. So I really like that covered, and stuff tucked in my trousers and that kind of thing. Yeah, and my pyjamas tucked in my pyjama bottoms and stuff. I'd never even consider wearing a nightie or anything like that. I need to be secure. So there's that element, but there's also the element of not being exposed, because I don't like my skin being touched. And I know that sounds really a bit bizarre, but
why?
I don't know. It's because, like, I think it's a bit odd. I don't think, I just compare myself to this normal person who I think that I should be, and I'm not.
You are a normal person who's reacting to an abnormal situation.
Yeah.
Are you reacting to being raped when you were a child?
Yeah.
And you want to feel safe now. You don't want to be touched, because the impact of what that man did to you has so far damaged the whole of your life so far, and you're still reacting to what he did.
Yeah.
And so would you say that's normal, or would you say it's an abnormal reaction?
It is, when you say it like that, I guess it is a normal reaction to what I've experienced, but I don't see but I just think it's not normal, end of. I don't do that because like, I'm alright, like I can touch my hands and stuff like that, but what I mean is like certain areas that I'm uncomfortable, like, like if you did have a vest top on in the summer and your arms might touch your skin there, or particularly really to an obsession about my thighs touching, my inner thighs touching, that's really distressing. And over time I've wanted, I have urges to cut them off and really damage myself, because I just can't bear my inner thighs touching. So I'll always wear pyjamas, trousers. If I wear shorts, it's longer shorts.
Yeah.
If I wear a swimsuit, I'll get a swimsuit with legs in, because I just can't bear my inner thighs touching.
So all of these areas that you can't bear about your body is because of what he did to you, and they're reminders, they're triggers, almost your body's the trigger.
And even though that I might not be able to remember, I understand that they're unconscious triggers and stuff, because stuff that I can remember, it's not that I've got big gaps in my memory, but stuff that I can remember, I think, well, to get to that point, this and this must have happened before then. Do you know what I mean? So it's not that I'm guessing or filling in the blanks. It's that it's got those steps, I've got to be there, but I've blocked them out or whatever.
To keep yourself safe. So it's like if you had, when people go into comas, it's your body really wants to help you the best way that it can. It absolutely loves you, does your body, but you end up hating it because of what this rapist did, this child rapist. So so you end up hating yourself because of him.
Oh, sometimes I want to grab hold of my thighs and I think, I could just cut them off. I could just, get that real urge. All my hatred is in things like that, rather than having hatred towards him or what's happened to me. Like, sometimes I can talk about it as if I'm talking about doing my food shopping or about something I've seen on television, without emotion and just very matter-of-factly. But my anger and emotions are channeled at other areas.
Other areas that are safer for that emotion to come out.
Right.
What do you feel about him?
No.
Okay.
I don't feel about... No.
Okay.
And
so
that I'm saying now... Now, if that's different. If I were to see him, I'd probably say, I'd like to think, well, I won't think, I just walk past him, he's a nothing, he's a nobody. I don't want to, but when I have seen him, that isn't what happens.
What's the reaction?
Fear, petrified, and that flight or fight comes in, but it isn't the fight bit, it's the flight. It's just that I need to get away, I need to get away. Don't give eye contact, don't look, just run away.
Yeah. So do you think that's why, when we've spoke before about children being safe to be able to let out their expressions, their emotions, and they learn that their emotions aren't important, or to bottle them up, or they can't express them because the parents are too busy with their own stuff. So often when the child expresses anger, they'll get sent away, go to your room, I don't want to see you, come back when you're in a better mood, or things like that. But actually what they're telling the child is your emotions are important.
Yeah.
So
or at school, just stand outside at class and come back in when you can behave.
That's it. So you're constantly shoved away all the time by the adults around you who can't be bothered with to listen to your emotions, or who just haven't learned themselves about emotions, and or some who just choose to be ignorant and don't want to learn it. So it's whatever that that the individual you're around at the time. So for you, it sounds like you've let your emotions out of anger when it's safe, and it's safe to let them out on you. But to let them out on him is too scary, to even feel anger towards him, because when you're faced with him, you're too engrossed in fear. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to run, I just want to get away.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I'm like out of sight of him or anything, it's like, switch right, it's all right now, everything's all right. It sort of goes, it's just that when I see him visually, it's that fear. And even though I might tell myself now I'm learning about things, and I tell myself, right, you're safe now, nothing's happening now, and all that kind of stuff, all that goes all out the window. My head can be saying those sensible things and stuff, but that fear inside is just like, run, get away.
Yeah.
And I'm all right as soon as I'm away.
And you often have the fear as well when he's in the absence of him, the fear that he might knock on your door, or
I'm very when I go places, I like to, well, I only go a few places, but I like to know where I'm going. I like to know who's there, what the setup is. It's like I like to have as much knowledge, or you might use the word control, or I like to know like where am I going, what the setup is, what it's like, which door you go in, who's going to be there, who does this, that, and the other. I'm very much like that I need to know things. I do worry. I worry that, you know, if I'm getting something delivered, or if somebody, a repairman's coming to the house, when I get somebody else to be there so that I'm not there. It's like, oh, I've got a meeting. Can you just come and sort that out, like, you know, to my parents or anything like that, or can I get it delivered to yours because I'm going to be out, and I do. He's changed profession about 20,000 times, because 1 minute he's a plumber, then he's a carpet fitter, then I think he's going to be a delivery man, or working at the retirement home where my mum lives, and because I don't want to go in the lift because I might get stuck in there with him. Do you know what I mean? And he ain't even anywhere around, but I've always got that fear that I'll come face to face with him and that I won't be able to run away.
Yeah. So you had fear of, you know, not only keeping it to yourself for a long time, but fear of actually telling anyone about what had happened to you as well.
I didn't think, it sounds strange, but I didn't think I had something to say to anybody, because I'd put that in a little box, and I found it difficult enough to get through the day. Every day I found just daily life difficult, so I was more concentrating on that than thinking about something had happened that I didn't quite like. And I never connected the two. And so for me, just getting through the day of avoiding people, doing things right, being a good person, what I thought, doing my schoolwork, doing my college work, ticking all the boxes that I needed to tick with my routines and my OCD behaviours and my eating issues and stuff. So just actually getting through the day was a big issue. I didn't have time to actually look in that box because I didn't think they were to do with it.
Right, okay. So
not until therapy.
Yeah, so I guess there wasn't enough, like you say, as a child, no one asked any questions. So for you, it's putting all that trust into somebody, into an adult, that would not only take what you said seriously, but the fear of what might they do with it, and what might happen to you as well, because so far the world wasn't really showing you much care and attention. So then how could you trust, because you'd already trusted this person, you knew who the person was, so you'd already trusted that, you put your trust in people, and being massively let down by those around.
And I think I decided at an early age that I didn't need people and I didn't like people. I just know that were a mantra that I kept saying to myself, and to, like, my mum would be like, do you not want to go out with you know, people your own age? Do you not want to go to a youth group? No, don't like people, don't need people, don't want people. Because it wasn't that I felt I was happier on my own. It wasn't as distressing as being around people for me. So it was the better option. And I just also, from a very young age, I always knew not that I wouldn't let people know what impact they'd had on me. So if, like, did something wrong at home and I got a smack, there's no way I'd cry in front of my mum or dad or anything like that. Or, you know, if somebody had upset me, I wouldn't get upset in front of them or let them know they'd upset me.
Was it that realisation of giving them the pleasure?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know whether it's pleasure or power. I didn't want people to know they had an impact on me.
Yeah, because
so even watching sad films in front with my mum and my sister, when you did on a Sunday afternoon and this, that and other, they'd be both crying and upset because something had happened in the film. I would sit there stony face, and I would go on my own and cry, but I wouldn't cry in front of people. I wouldn't let anybody know my vulnerabilities.
Yeah. So, and one of your vulnerabilities that you have revealed now is being touched.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is it that, you know, when you spoke about being touched, you don't like your skin touching itself, or you know, you touching? So
Yeah. So like when you said right at the beginning, I get in the bath, I'm like a biscuit. You just dunk in, dunk out. I couldn't bear the thought of like washing myself, and I don't know whether that's about giving myself care, or I don't know whether it's about the sensation of being. I don't know. It's just that it's not. I literally am like you dunk a biscuit in, out.
So your body isn't, you know, what you're saying is you don't really take care of it like that, which you've been saying all along. It's just a nothingness, really. Is your body as we are, but your body is seen in a different way to you now, because is it your body, do you think, or does it still, you know, it's like you're carrying this that's been marked by the rapist?
Yeah, I think I battle with it. I think both unconsciously and consciously, because I know my mood changes and I know hormones and things like that. But I really don't like it when I'm on a period, because it reminds me that I'm female and that I'm this and that and that, and that area needs attention and stuff. And I get really agitated. And I can remember as a young teenager, or even probably younger than that, I can remember saying to my mum, "Oh, I wish I could just get sewn up down there. I don't need down there. I don't want down there. I just don't like giving my body attention."
Yeah.
Which is like when I'm poorly, I won't, as in physically poorly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just carry on, straight at the gym, straight carry on. I forget about other people and infecting them. But it's like, no, you will not let your body affect you. It will just carry on.
So you do the same to your body as well, that, you know, I'm not going to be vulnerable in front of people because the fear of they actually like it,
they'll use it against me.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be used against me. If people know what's important to me, what I don't like, what I, you know, and that kind of thing, what I do like, I think if people know what I do like, they'll take it off me. If people know what I don't like, they'll do it on purpose to wind me up and upset me. So what is it now that you're saying? Because you're saying if they know. So what we're doing now is, you know, is a video, and people will know. What do you feel about that now? I don't know.
Do you feel vulnerable?
I guess no, because I feel as if I'm only talking to you.
Right. So you don't feel vulnerable when you're with me?
No.
Why?
Because the evidence so far is that you don't use stuff against me, stuff that I don't like or stuff like that, or stuff that you know I don't like, and stuff you don't do it on purpose. So, yeah.
So is this the standing point that if you can trust me, you can trust others?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I guess you are, really.
Yeah.
You know, right now.
Yeah. I guess it's one thing that I haven't done before is I haven't, because it's all been fear, I haven't tested the fears. And I guess the difference is now is that like I am testing things to see if it actually comes true, or whether my ego's been lying to me or not.
Hasn't it always lied?
Sometimes. I still don't test certain things and stuff.
But that is the ego. So the fear isn't actually you, as we've said before. The fear is in the body-mind. But you aren't your body and you aren't your mind, because if you are the body and you are the mind, then who is it that observes it? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Who observes the fear? And if I ask you where fear lives, who goes in there and looks there to say, oh, it's in my chest or it's in my stomach? Who is that? There's only one of you in there, so who is that?
Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
But I forget.
So you believe that, you know, when there's a young girl who was brought up was by the dogs in the garden because her parents were so neglectful when she was about 3 or 4. She ended up going to the kennels because she was left outside and forgotten about, and she slept with the dogs. And now as an adult, especially if she's stressed, she goes back to type. So she barks like a dog. She goes on all fours and things like that. She goes back to you know, to where she knows safe ultimately. And sometimes we go back to where not safe as well. And so it sounds like, oh, we may never leave it, we may never let it go. We carry things like suitcases around with us. And you know, when you come home with your shopping, you put your bags down, it's like, oh, my house feels so much better. That's exactly how it feels. Or if you're in your house and you have a good clean out, and you think, well, it feels so much spacious now, it's lighter and it's airier and things like that. So we take care of those things, but we don't take care of this house, this body. And so, but when we let go of things, you like drop the suitcases, drop the past, because it doesn't serve you. The ego wants to keep it because the ego is our want. And the biggest problem for human beings is a want. So it gets played on. That's why we work for all our wants. And so we're kept busy away from ourselves, because if you can let go of your want, doesn't mean you don't get anything, but it just means you don't have trouble, you've got freedom. So it's the, you know, we tend to carry on in our lives based on the past, because the ego wants to keep it. Don't let them go, they owe you, or I hate them, or things like that. But ultimately, whatever you're carrying in your life is projected out in your present. And sometimes the ego makes you look like a bad person, not you personally, but makes
Oh no,
people
I
look
have done some horrible things.
like a bad person. So, but what I'm saying is that everybody, you know, that we're speaking about, such people that, like you say, your experiences in the NHS and things like that, it depicts that we all have egos. It doesn't matter what job title you have. If you have an ego, you're going to see it. And like I say, if there's a war outside in a country, it's because there's a war going on in somebody else's head, and then they're projecting it out. And so whatever we have inside of ourselves, as I say very crudely, if you've got shit in a bag, that's all you're going to get out of it. So that's what gets projected out, you know, and so we get projected on by other people. And so you were projected on by this abuser.
And I do test it to see if I didn't test it, but I do test it to see if those things I have been able to leave some of them behind. Thinking about the theme of being touched and stuff like that with medical appointments and stuff, there's only so far that I can go with having medical examinations and things like that. There's only certain examinations I will have in certain areas that I will be touched and things like that. Sometimes I have tested it to see if I'm able to go any further. And sometimes it's not a chance.
I mean, sometimes it can be a shock, like when they do the videos, how you mentioned going to the hospital and then she just came and pulled the nurse came and pulled your pants down, and for you that's like a trigger. And not that should happen to anybody anyway, but it's that where we put trust in people, either in our parents, and we can get let down by that, or by the medical staff, we can get often let down. So you wonder, you know, you feel really let down then, don't you? Because you think, well, these people are supposed to be safe people, they're supposed to be caring people, and this is what's just happened. And it can be, you know, that can extend out as well. So to other services? Like, I know you said that you feared the police. And
it's really strange because I've never done anything wrong with the police, but I fear being arrested and being strip searched. I panic. I've only been on an aeroplane a few times, and obviously I never carry anything that I shouldn't carry on, but I'm absolutely petrified that I'll end up having to be searched or having to be touched on this, that and the other.
They come and pat you down as well, don't they?
And and I know I'm like thinking, you haven't got anything on you, you haven't done anything wrong, but something could still happen, and I fear being in those situations.
And then when you think about the way that the world's set up, because when we're born we accept the way that the world's set up, so we don't barely question it, but when you actually question it, you think, well, for human beings, for any other, the animal kingdom or, plant life and things like that, they flourish really well. They don't need, they don't need toilet roll when there's the COVID or any other virus going around. They don't need to buy bread in its dozens or anything like that. They don't need to do all those things as we do. They don't need medication as we do, so it's our made up thing. And to medicate ourselves, to basically, the world's seems to be not for human beings, but to make us into human doings, and we do still not have time for you. So if you've been sexually abused or if you've been raped, we do not have time for you. When you're going through an airport, we need to just get on that plane, because everything's now fast and loud, and we need to get on that plane, because if we keep it fast and loud, we can keep you anxious and we can control you when you're anxious. So we'll keep it fast and loud, get on the plane, and we're going to need to touch you, so we don't have time for your history of your life. And that seems to be kind of widespread as well, doesn't it? Because the other thing is, when you mention the police and being strip searched, so when you go into prison, straight away you're going to be stripped. We do not have time. We do not have time for that. We only have time to do this. So our humanness is taken away. Yet again, it's like, is there anywhere in life that fits our humanness? Even when I speak about schools, and you mentioned going to a school, and was the affair, I think it is.
Yeah, I've noticed it a couple of times, and I've just been thinking about it, that schools now have like learning mentors and pastoral support workers, wellbeing officers. They're all called different things, and this, that, enough about looking after your health and inclusion and all those kind of things. But yet I feel there's such a contradiction, because the school near me had a fun fair the other day, and I guess what it was, but I asked somebody who has a child there, and it was for those with 100% attendance.
Yeah.
So I'm
if
like,
you're a human doing,
yeah, and it was like in school
rewarded.
time
Yeah.
that they were able to come out of lessons to go to the fun fair if they got 100% attendance. But those young people who had put their health and well-being first and taken time off got penalised and got sanctioned, or whatever you want to call for putting their well-being first, or their well-being of others, because if they were contagious with an infection or something like that, they wasn't passing it on. But by putting themselves first, they missed out on what was seen as a reward, and that just seems such a contradiction to me.
Yeah.
As with the NHS, I keep seeing everything now is like, let's be trauma informed. However, the only psychotherapy offer that they offer is 6 sessions, 12 sessions. For CAMS, the waiting list for young people is a long waiting list, 6-8 months, maybe over, but the offer is 6 sessions, and it's like, that's a contradiction. We're saying be trauma informed, but you've got to be trauma informed for 6 times, and then other than that, you're discharged.
Exactly. So it's similar to when you were in hospital, and you said you go around this kind of wheel, don't you? So you get on the wheel, you get refed, it's a success, you get out.
Yeah, I'm classed as a success story because I only went through the refeeding inpatient programme once, and because I don't meet the criteria for anorexia nervosa anymore, I'm if the statistics out there, I'd be one of the ones who was cured and one of the ones who the programme had been successful for. What it doesn't account for is that I went on to have 2 different eating disorders, so atypical anorexia, nervosa, and binge eating disorder. But yeah, at the time when I was on the refeeding programme, there was 5 other people, and they'd all been through the programme numerous times, because they'd go through the refeeding programme, you got discharged, you went back down ill, so you needed to go back through it again, and that kind of, there were the other 5, they'd been through the programme multiple times, because it was just a refeeding programme, and just as I see it's crisis management. It was just stopping you dying because you were at a low weight, so they fed you, and when you got to a normal weight, you were discharged. And I remember being told, when you lose weight again, you'll just get re-referred, and that was the cycle that a lot of people were on.
So, from what you've said about your eating disorder and the reaction and not being able to be touched and things like that, and how society lets us down. It says it's like a paradox, says one thing and then does another quite
You're probably more experienced than me from what you see. Is there a big percentage, I'm sure there is, of people who have eating disorders who have been sexually abused?
Yes.
And like when I was in hospital, and I know it was told for my own well-being, I was in a side room, and there was a commode in there and a sink without a U-bend and stuff, so I could wash myself and that. But if I needed a bath or shower, I had to be accompanied. And I was told that was for my own well-being because I was at a low weight and I could collapse. But again, having somebody with me while I had a bath or a shower.
And being exposed.
Yeah.
And not feeling
and somebody
safe.
who I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was just a random nurse who was on.
Came. And as well, not being able to explain that you'd been sexually abused or being able to go into that, you fit into their box instead of them asking.
Well, if you didn't comply and stick with the rules, you'd get what they said is like one of the privileges. You had a phone, we didn't have mobiles then, you had 1 phone call a day you could make home. You'd get that taken off you. You could have 20 minutes in the TV lounge every day. If you didn't comply and stick to the rules, you'd get that taken off you. So me as a compliant person, no matter how distressed I was, I think I didn't have very many, but when I did have a bath or a shower, it would be accompanied by somebody because I didn't want to break the rules. So I was in a really difficult situation.
What do you think about the world that you're in right now? What do you believe that you'd like it? What world would you like this to be like?
I'm scared of it, and I know it's because I do a lot of overthinking. But when I saw that documentary about a women's prison, and they were saying that a large percentage of those in the prison, the women have been sexually abused as children, or sexual violence as an adult and that kind of thing. And then the next clip showed them as soon as they came in off the van and into the building, they were strip searched. Well, my overthinking and my paranoia, my whatever you want to call it, it's like, oh my god, I don't want to be in prison. Oh no, I'm gonna do something wrong. Don't do anything wrong. I hope I don't, like, I'm involved in an accident and I get blamed for something that I haven't done, and that overthinking and worry that I might be put in a situation.
Have you noticed that you say my?
No.
Yeah, you say my overthinking, my anxiety, like my coat, my jumper, but you don't say you. Do you not capture that?
No.
So would you say you, because it doesn't really fit, you anxiety, you overthinking. So you say my, yeah. So that's an indication of a suitcase that you're carrying. So we go back to again, you go into the soup of anxiety, you go into the soup of overthinking, because whatever you focus on, it's whatever we focus on. So you could be sat there focusing, having a daydream or a nightmare, should I say, about anything. Shall I buy this? Shall I buy that? What shall I do? What shall I do with that? This bill, this bill, this bill, this bill. Because that's what the world is made up of. It's a constant. It never shuts up and be quiet. It must be the noisiest thing on the planet. And it's like a constant chatter, an internal chatter that goes on in your head, this dialogue, negative talk. And if you think, well, these things always happen to me, it's like, yeah, because you always think of these things. You're always interested. It's like, which plant are you watering? Are you watering, the egoic plant that is quite nasty, that's been put there, that it's a phenomenon, it doesn't really exist? Or are you watering the you plant? That's, if you strip your labels away.
I think there must be an element where I do get that, because I wouldn't refer to myself as an anorexic. I would say that I had anorexia nervosa, that I had it was something, it's not me.
Exactly.
And that's different, because I did think things used to be me.
Exactly. So then if you get rid of it, you don't become part of a person. You remain a whole person. And it's the same when people have, unfortunately, when they have to have the legs or their arm amputated or they lose them, they still remain a whole person. So you can't be the body then. And you can't be the mind that carries these things. You're carrying them, and it's because you let it go.
I get that's one change that I hadn't noticed, because I used to think it was me, and there was it was me.
People do, they
me.
refer to themselves as their labels. That I've got this, or this is me. Oh, it's because of my OCD, or it's because of this. And it's like, no, it's because you're interested in that. You're interested in it because something happened, and you become so focused on that because you've told yourself a story that's in your nervous system. And it's like, how do these stories get there? Well, look at every day what you're feeding yourself, psychologically food. So when you get on the bus, you might pick a paper up and you're just going to feed yourself some junk food there. Or whatever films that you want, whether it's a murder or whatever, there's some more junk food for you. And then you thought, so you can hear people chatting about things, so there's some more junk food. So on a daily basis, how much junk food do you feed in your brain? And then on a physical, how much junk food do you put inside your body? And then let's see what happens. And what you're going to do then, we'll shut it up. So if it's in my head, I'll just shut up. People won't want to hear it, because that's what I'm used to. And if it's in my body, I can just take something to shut it up. But adding something more to something is not going to take that away, is it?
I think I do feed myself a lot of things that fit in with that fear. Like, I used to watch the same TV programmes over and over again, but now I do watch different things. But I'll watch documentaries maybe about like murder or prison or violence. It's so very rare I read a book, but if I do, it's about, because it fits in with what I think about the world and what I think about people. I'd feel so uncomfortable watching a romantic comedy or anything like that, because that is a really alien concept to me.
Exactly, so it doesn't fit in with how you see the world.
Yeah.
And so when you're born into this world, you were born into this world, as fresh as a daisy. You had none of this. So you weren't born with it. The world gave it to you. It gave it to you it told you who you are, by your experiences, by what happened to you, by being raped as a child, by being ignored. By all of these, we're all given, everybody is being given their identity. You don't even choose your own name unless you change it when you're an adult. It's like the plant doesn't care that we call it a plant. It will be where it wants to be because it's free of us. But human beings aren't free, so we're supposed to be the most intelligent according to human beings being on the planet. Are we really? Are we really the mess that we make of ourselves and we make of others? because we're the ones that label things. So you get given your label when you're born, and then your experiences begin to shape who you believe you are. But are you something because you're an experience? It's like, if you were to go on a roller coaster and have an experience, would that mean that's who you are? And it's exactly for your life. If I grow up with great parents, does it mean I'm great? If I grow up with unhealthy parents, does it mean I'm unhealthy? Well, it doesn't mean I am, but it just means I might have learnt that. And there's a difference, there's a big difference in who you are. But do you actually ask, who am I?
I guess I'm starting to,
Yeah.
and I'm open to wondering. I want to laugh because that's something that the first therapist said I never did. I knew I'm like this. I knew I'm bad. I knew I do this. I know I'm thick. I know I'm stupid. I know I'm ugly. I know I'm this. But now I'm starting to think about that the way that I present myself as being influenced by what's happened and how I've seen the world and that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess that's a big change.
It is, and that's where it comes in. If you change your mind, you change your world. So if inside you've been fed a lot of junk, you get used to it, don't you? You get used to, say we grew up on chips, we get used to it. So Sunday lunch, so we get used to Sunday lunch, so everybody passes it down, we all have Sunday lunch. So you have Sunday lunch, we have Sunday lunch. And that's what everybody does, so you get used to that. So if somebody says, well, why don't we have something different? Well, it's Sunday, this is what we have Sunday lunch. And that's like, what we feed ourselves. And so what you feed yourself psychologically is, what do you have? Abuse. So what am I going to feed myself? Abuse. So it's like, it's quite odd to watch something different, because I'm so used to abuse.
And it don't bother me. I can watch, again, I think it's that displacement or something. I can watch things that are gruesome and this, that and other, and it's like,
because
and I don't flinch.
Exactly, because it's normalised. So you think, well, when you look outside, the world's set up like this. When you put, a programme on or anything like that, you can see how many programmes are negative to how many are quite positive. And, we light up our amygdala, the Neanderthal part of the brain, just so we can, sit there and ultimately feed it discomfort. But we're pleasure seekers, so we actually think, I liked that film. But because we've normalised, this is a normal, enjoyable film, but just because we've normalised it, it doesn't mean it's healthy.
I think I need to start watching the Christmas film channel, all those cheesy Christmas films.
It's okay. Shall we end on that
Yeah.
note? All right.
Yeah, thank you.